Alright guys, what's up? MR.TwoSix checking back in. So this is the first video of 2022. What we're going to do today or this weekend is we're going to go ahead and go through the car, do a little changes, some knick-knack things here and there, tighten things up, some quality of life type of changes. So let's get to it. Alright, so one of the first changes is probably one of the biggest changes that we're going to do is the steering wheel. So I love this steering wheel, the D&D steering wheel. I love how it looks, I love how it feels. The problem is that ever since we put in the new seats, since these seats are a lot wider, my seating position is actually a little bit more left. So the problem I'm having is my elbow is actually pinched between my body and the door panel. And partly because I'm just fat, so that doesn't help, but so we're actually going to be changing the steering wheel with something that has no dish at all, that's flat, so that way it helps push my arms away from my body, and hopefully that'll feel a little bit more comfortable driving. Because if I don't, when I'm cruising around, I have to drive like this, and obviously drifting or any sporting activity, you know, you want both hands on the steering wheel, so I'm forced to be pinched here. So it makes turning more of a chore because of that. So let's go ahead, let's go to the table and we can pull out the new steering wheel. So as you guys can see, clearly it's an NRG wheel. Believe it or not, this was harder than I thought without spending a lot of money. Of course, you could get Nardis, Momos, Sparcos, but you're talking about $250 plus. Granted, those steering wheels are a lot nicer, not gonna lie. But for what I need it for, I think the energy wheel, this one in particular, is perfect. So let's go ahead and take out the wheel. There's the wheel. As you can tell, it has almost, well, it really has no dish whatsoever, maybe half an inch of a dish. But look at the difference. Not counting the quick release, but from here, maybe 2 inches, 2 or 3 inches, because the dish on this, I believe, is 3 inches on the D&D wheel. So it's going to be a big difference. So we're going to go ahead and swap the quick disconnect off onto this one, and then we'll try it out. Alright, let's put this thing on. It feels a lot more comfortable. Like I said, my arms are more stretched out. This feels like a stock steering wheel position because I can reach the turn signal stocks. Well, turn signal and windshield wiper brakes a lot easier, but yeah, before I was like this, and I had to, you know, my arm was literally pinched. And now my arms are a lot more stretched out. Feels a lot more comfortable, that's for sure. I'm really happy with this switch. So this is gonna go to MR.TwoSix shop. She's gonna do a couple things to the steering wheel, some nice little, or some words of motivation on this wheel. So overall, I'm happy with this change. Let's get on to the next one. Alright guys, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and install the spacer on the top pad of the coilover. So before we went ahead and did that, I'm too lazy and I forgot to do it before I jacked the car up. but I figure if I still measure from the center of the hub to the fender, it'll still be a somewhat accurate representation, since the spacer is actually going to go between the body and the coilover. So let's go ahead and measure that. We're just under 14.5. You know what? I'm gonna do it from the bottom. I'm gonna do it from down here, just so I have an accurate measurement. I have a ledge that I could go off of. So that's just under 16 inches. All right. So the spacers are 3/8 of an inch. So they're from Flying Miata, so it's built for this. I'm not, you know, putting a bunch of washers or Mickey Mousing some shit up, you know, to do this. This is meant for this, so let's go ahead and do it. Alright, so obviously first things first, jack the car up, take your wheels off, and then we're going to remove these 2 bolts that hold the coilover to the shock mount. They're 14mm, at least in my case. This is an NB1. Alright, so now that we got the 2 bolts off up top, let me remove my support. And that did not drop like it was supposed to. Alright, so I ended up having to remove the bolt that holds the coilover here at the bottom on the lower control arm. And I'm guessing the reason for that was because since I had these coils as long as I possibly could, I had no play as far as space. So I had to undo that bolt and then shrink the coilover basically to give me enough space up here where I could slide the spacer in. So hopefully should give me the space I need. Like you can see, I was able to get the spacer in. So now I'm just gonna, I'm gonna position the shock back up, put the nuts on it just so it holds, and then adjust the coilover down here how I had it fully extended. Alright, so now the spacer's on, we're going to go ahead and measure just like we measured it before, pre-spacer. So, right here. And we're at like 16 1/4, where before we were at like 15 3/4. So we gained about ½ an inch of clearance. So hopefully that's enough, because I want to put my new wheels on. Finally, so we're gonna try and get them on, see how they look, see if I can actually turn the steering wheel with them on now. I'm gonna cruise. All right, so finally got some clearance. I could stick my fingers under, you know, to my second knuckle in, which I couldn't do before. But now this is the problem, and it's not really a problem, it's more a looks thing. I don't like the poke, and the reason why it's doing it this time that it didn't do it last time we tried this was because that was before I got the alignment. So before I got the alignment, after doing the knuckle, all that crap, I had negative, what was it, 10 or 10.5 degrees of camber in the front on both sides. Right now we're at 3.5, and probably a little bit less because the spacer probably took some of that away. So right now, instead of tucking like I was before at the 10.5 degrees and lower, now I have poke, and I have about 2 inches of poke on either side. Yeah. But the wheels fit. So I guess fender flares is what it's gonna have to be. The backs don't do that, right? The back doesn't have that. A little bit, but not as much as the front. The back sticks out a little bit. Alright guys, so clearly this means you're gonna have to go with some fender flares, so oh well. I'm happy with that. Was gonna go that route eventually anyways. And it's necessary, it's needed because I ordered steering rack spacers and I ordered something interesting to extend the tie rods because I want to run the outermost position on the lower control arm, so I can have the front end really wide like it's supposed to be for drifting. So yeah, and clearly with a 15x8 with 0 offset on stock fenders, I'm already hitting. I could just go with coilovers, but the coilovers, I want to get the DS ones from BC, and those are $1,200 to $1,300. So the flares are going to happen sooner or later, so I'm going to do it. And then yeah, and then hopefully we get all this stuff done before the next event, which private day, which is February 5th. So just a bunch of Miatas and OSW having fun. So. Alright, so let's go put the other wheels back on. Alright guys, so we just got a couple things done, nothing crazy to start off the year. You know, I did a bolt check, tying things up off camera, up front, suspension up front. So far I'm happy with the steering wheel, I'm happy with the extra clearance I got from those spacers. I'm happy so far. It's a good 2022, great start. So hopefully we just keep cranking them out and have more fun, and I get better at driving, at drifting, at everything, and you know, we could just bring you guys more content. That's the goal for this year. I mean, last year was a big year. Went from literally 0 to nothing. Bought this car in December of 2020. Went to my first, participated in my first drift event in May. And then did Black Friday. So I'm very happy with that. Just need to get better, more seat time, more driving, more everything. So that's what I plan to do this year, is just more driving and hopefully more power. So till the next video guys, peace.